like Nice Lick or something like that.
Yeah.
But it
Yeah,
just
he would put, like a star and like all keys. Like,
Yeah, right.
Get off your butt, practice this. You
Yeah.
know? Yeah, he would write notes to himself. Really meticulous note taker.
Yeah.
And it's his whole career. The earliest book starts when Mike was a student at Indiana University, and the last book is the production notes for Pilgrimage.
Wow.
Which ended basically a month before he passed. Leukemia. So, yeah. And also, I should mention before we, also the archive of Art Farmer, thanks to Lynn Mueller donating that. Also, thanks to Lee Konitz's family, we just now are sorting Lee Konitz's stuff, which started off, I was telling you earlier, 38 boxes, now down to
Yeah, you're doing good work.
6.
Wow.
So I've been working on that. I tell the students, if it gets to be 2 p.m. or afterwards and you can't find me in the music building, you don't have to check the bars down and hail them. You know where I am, And by the way, this space is in College Hall on campus, so we're, like a 2-minute drive from the music building. Mm-hmm. And it's just, the reason it's here is just because of lack of space in Shea Center.
Yeah.
And also a little bit of lack of air quality. The air quality is fabulous in this building. This is an administrative building, and also the security's great. Like, you'd have to, after 5 o'clock, these doors auto lock, and even to leave, you have to push a button, get your photo taken,
Wow.
and get out, and you can't get in. And so you'd have to basically jimmy 4 locks to get to
right.
this stuff. So you'd have to really want to commit a crime.
Wow.
To come in here and get the original manuscript of Groove Merchant.
Dig
which
it.
is most criminals,
Yeah, that's what they're looking for.
Yeah. Where can you hawk an original chart on Groove
Right.
Merchant? No.
Oh my gosh.
So, yeah.
Well, we'll go around and check out some of the things that you have set up over
Okay.
here, some of the exhibits. But one thing I did want to ask you is, when you go through this archival process, how much training did you have prior to this in archival? And my gosh, what have you had to undergo to be responsible for this material?
Well, there are no coincidences in life. And when I was getting my doctorate at Eastman, I've always been involved in Alec Wilder's music, composer who, you must know his music as a brass player, wrote, 13 brass quintets, sonatas for, trombone, bass trombone, John Barrow's horn, saxophone. But he also wrote I'll Be Around, It's So Peaceful in the Country, wrote some major hit popular songs, hundreds of them. So he's a Rochester guy. And it so happened that at the time I was a doctoral student there, the donation came and they created the Alec Wilder Archive at Eastman. So they signed me up because they saw
Oh, wow.
passionate, low-cost labor.
Sign me
Right?
up.
Yeah, it became part of my assistantship, so it was like
Oh,
the
wow.
school was already paying me.
Yep.
And so the librarians there trained me in how to catalog
Wow.
and what the proper way was to store the stuff. Like you take a typical Thad Jones manuscript, it's in an acid-free folder, which is stored in an acid-free box. And then inside that folder, each of the pages are interleaved with pieces of acid-free paper. So it's like those pages are basically on suspended animation.
Right. Wow.
Suspended animation. Yeah, I guess so.
That works.
That's how you'd call it. Yeah. So in other words, we aren't taking that out. We scanned it, and the guys in the Vanguard Orchestra have it, and we have it on a drive that's not in this space.
Right.
So it's all kind of double, triple backed up.
But what an
So-
interesting thing I'm sorry to interrupt you, but
No.
for students too, like this wasn't part of your degree.
No.
This was all.
I'm a saxophone player.
Yeah.
They didn't teach. Yeah, I mean, I was at Eastman getting a doctorate in saxophone performance.
Wow.
And so, Eastman was a great opportunity for me because not only did I have all the classical background, but there was that great jazz program there, and Bill Dobbins and Ray Ricker. So, one of my chamber music recitals, I did the whole Chick Corea 3 quartets
Oh my
album.
goodness, man.
And I had already known Mike Brecker for 30 years, so I called Mike up and said, where's this music? And he said, give me a minute. Sets me up with Chick.
Oh.
with Chick's publisher. You know,
Oh my
hello,
gosh.
Chick Courier Music. May I help you? Back then, you know, you just phone order. You know, and they sent me the whole record. Yeah. So I mean,
Oh, that's killer.
Eastman was a great opportunity already, but who knew then that I was going to get into this archival stuff?
Yeah, right.
So then, when Clark came, and we were dealing with not only Thad and Clark, but now James, and whoa, it was starting to build some momentum here.
And forgive me, when you say we, you mean you, right?
Well, we institutionally, yeah. I mean, you're looking at the staff. I mean,
Yeah.
meet the staff. You know, like that's
Right.
it. Yeah. So, and you know, students are always here to help.
Right.
But sometimes, you know, when I'm inventorying 1,200 Lee Konitz cassettes, and I see a student helping me, and he's also on his phone, I'll say, why don't you be on your phone and I'll do the inventory, because if they miss one, we'll never know.
Yeah.
It could be 20 years before we realize that, oh, that gig in Cleveland with Warren Marsh, when they played this tune together, that was the only time they ever played that tune. We didn't know we had that
Right.
because somebody missed it.
Yeah.
So if somebody's going to miss something, I'll take the hit.
Yeah, sure.
You know, so I just come over here and kind of get in a zone,
Mhm.
and you know, it turns your brain to applesauce doing
Dig it.
this for 3 hours.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So I can, you know, 2 to 5 is a good. You know, if I were going to spend 8 hours doing it, you lose your concentration.
Yeah.
But anyway, just to further my training.
Forgive me.
When when this all started to happen, I went to the Library of Congress, and those are. I mean, Larry Applebaum, who's now retired, he's the head of the jazz collection at Library of Congress. I spent 2 days with him, like going through not only seeing stuff, and by the way, unearthed some more Thad charts that were for Carmen McRae.
Oh, wow.
They don't have any Thad material, but they have Carmen's material, and that was in there. There was
wow.
an album called Can't Hide Love, mostly pop tunes.
Oh, okay.
And Thad actually wrote a great arrangement of Your Everything.
Really?
Not You're My Everything, but Chick's tune.
Mm.
Bum, ba, de, ba, da, bum, bum, bum. That,
Mm.
I don't know if you know, it's like a Return to Forever
Okay,
tune
yeah.
with Florida.
Mhm.
So, yeah, so I just learned so much there. And my colleagues at Rutgers at the Jazz Institute, which is located in Newark, it's not located with the jazz program in New Brunswick. So in a way, we're physically closer to that than Rutgers is, and they're great people, and our students are down there all the time. So they were a big help. And then, curious enough, as you well know, I'm a huge baseball fan.
Yes.
And I knew I'd played some national anthems for like induction ceremonies at the Hall of Fame, so I knew the head research librarian there. And I spent 2 days in Cooperstown wandering underneath the Hall of Fame. It's like a whole labyrinth. And they, of course, have, you know, probably the toughest storage job, because they're cloth, wood bats, leather baseballs, paper, newsprint, videotape of games. They have just the worst, most unstable, toughest stuff
Wow.
to store. And so they have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of materials there, like, you know, of everything.
It sounds like the next Dan Brown series.
It's
Right.
yeah. I mean, just to look at, you know, they showed me every Hall of Famer. They have a square archival box with 24 signed baseballs, and this is what the FBI uses to break forgery cases. Like, can you imagine a 24 ball box of signed Babe Ruth baseballs?
Whoa, man.
And everybody on through.
Yeah.
Up to Derek Jeter last year.
Oh, my goodness.
They have them signed, and they say, you know, you can sign as many as you want. We'll take the 24 best, and you can sell the rest, or we'll sell them. But yeah, everything.
My goodness.
You know, Cy Young's jersey. Yeah, I learned a great archival lesson. The archivist said, "This is Cy Young's jersey with the tobacco stain on it," because he was, of course, chewing and spitting all the time.
Uh-huh.
And he said, we spent the first 20 years we had the jersey trying to get rid of the stain, and we've spent the last 50 years trying to preserve the stain. You know, what is an archival
Yeah,
item?
right.
So it's the same thing. You know, there's all kinds of coffee stains and you know, staples in the Thad, you know, would finish a score and he'd just go like 3 staples. So, you know, the first thing I needed to do was sort of see what's going on with those staples. And, you know, those old staples, they rust.
Yeah, sure.
So I had to get the staple remover out, you know, like, oh my God, you know, very carefully take those staples out so I'm not going to hurt the score. But
Yeah, right.
I could see right away that was going to be toxic.
Wow.
You know, you can't guard against that. Mike Brecker's notebooks were starting to, you know, they were wire bound.
Yeah, the old archives books.
So I called up Mike's wife and said, I'm getting out the wire cutters. Like,
Oh,
we're taking
man.
this off of here.
Wow.
And we're going to interleaf them. We got to take care of these notebooks, and they're starting to rust. They
Wow.
were in the basement at their house, and that's not going to end up well. So, you know, again, I'm thinking what's going to happen in 75 years.
Yeah,
you
right,
know?
exactly.
So it's, yeah, to say the least, I've learned a whole lot. You know,
Well,
and trying to do my long tones every day.
Yeah,
It's
dig it,
hard,
right,
you
exactly.
know?
Oh my gosh.
Because you get one of the toughest things being here is getting anything done. Because I get into it, and then I start playing some Thad Jones thing, and I say, wait, that's not. We're playing that chart off some other arrangement in the big band. That's not right. Now, 2 hours later, I've got the score laid out. I've got the headphones, you know, and I came over to catalog, and now I'm into bar 13 of this one chart.
Yeah,
so,
right.
Yeah, it's with so many of these archives, you know, every answer brings up 10 questions.
10 questions, sure.
And that's why the magic, to go back to Clark, the magic was working with Clark on it. Because I'd get something, and I'd just call him up and say, CT, what the heck is the? Oh, that's so great! You found that. I haven't thought about that since '53.
Whoa!
You know, and it would bring up but now millions of questions are coming up.
Yeah,
that I
right.
wish I could just, you know, it's too long distance to call though. I call him. He doesn't return my calls anymore.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but it's and sometimes we can get the answers. You know, Thad was not so organized. You know, the charts, he would send the scores out to get copied or to get printed, or give them to whoever copied them for the band and just say, just take care of it. And sometimes they would take care of it by then giving it to us 30 years later, and
Wow.
sometimes they just vaporize. And
wow.
we also need to make the point, as you know, that Thad Jones was a certified genius. And some of these famous charts that he wrote has no score. You know, he would write out the entire first trumpet
Right.
part and then the second trumpet part. And guys saw him do this in airports
Right.
and on buses. They'd say, "What are you working on? Like, where's the score, Thad?" And he'd just go, "Shh, wait a minute." You know, he's working on the third trombone part.
Horizontal,
and
not
and
vertical.
he's not looking at the first and second trombone. So yeah, that's beyond talent.
Yeah, that's savant.
like yeah, that's kind of genius savant stuff. And so yeah, that's the way Thad worked. And yeah, I guess another Thad, you may know this story, but they were in Europe making a record with a singer, vocalist, and Thad brought in a chart of a tune that she had wanted to do, and she goes, "Oh, I don't do it in that key." Thad goes, "Give it back." Recording is, you know, they're there till 2 a.m. They're reconvening at the studio at 9, and any one of 1,000 other arrangers would have just transposed the chart and made a few adjustments. Thad comes in at 9 a.m. with a totally new chart.
Oh,
It's
man.
completely different. It's just the
Wow.
way his brain worked. It's like, if it's moving to this key, that's a whole other
Right.
thing.
Lays different. Holy moly.
And I mean, a number of us might like to do that,
Uh-huh.
but that's not how your mind. You know, you got 7 hours between and a record being made.
Yeah,
You
right.
can just dash off stuff, and it's all, as you know, perfect. I mean, you look at these scores. I should have had. You know, we could hold it up here. I should have brought Groove Merchant. You want to?
Yeah, do
you
it.
want 35, 15 seconds of dead air?
God,